Oh, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to everybody who is watching this, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're up to. Coffee cheers. It's morning here for Stephanie and I. What does your mug say, Steph?
Yes, I'm
Yes, I'm cold.
cold.
So that's funny. Stephanie is actually from South Africa.
hmm
And she moved to Saskatchewan, Canada, like the coldest place in the world. How many years ago now?
We got here March 2019.
Yeah.
For
So
5 years,
5 years.
and I'm
She's
still cold.
experienced. Yeah, and she's but you love it.
I
Hi,
do.
Tammy. Good morning. Good morning. So before I get into too much about Stephanie, we're just gonna kind of hold a minute while people join us. Hey, Mom. Good morning. So, yeah, Stephanie, have you been in Lloydminster for 5 years?
Yep.
The whole time? Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
cool.
Where we landed and it's where we've stayed.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is a pretty good place. I do like it. Okay. Well, my patience is done. We're gonna dive in. So, February coffee chat for the month of February is all about, hey, body, what else is possible? And I started asking myself this question like the fall of 2022 and really looking at I am a dressage rider. I'm many things, but what I want to talk about today is I'm a dressage rider, I'm a competitor. And one of my asks in life is to ride a Grand Prix dressage test, which is the highest level. Of course, I would never settle for anything less. And I'm also a dressage instructor, a coach. And when I look at so I started training with Lindsay Stroh. She's a dressage coach in the area in Alberta. And she was also a Pilates instructor. And when I started working with her, she really started coaching me actually with the principles of Pilates. Now that I look back, of how to use my body in the saddle and how to like the mechanics of it. And it made so much sense. There were things that I could start to do on my horse in the saddle that I could not do before. And they just started getting better. Hello, Karen. And so I went on the hunt. Well, I didn't really go on the hunt. Stephanie literally found me through a friend. But another gal, she's a really good friend of mine, and she's been taking lessons with me. She found Stephanie first, and she's like, Catherine, I started doing Pilates with Stephanie. You really need to try this. And I was like, yes. So anyway, I knew that adding Pilates into my life, like if I really, really wanted to be this Grand Prix dressage rider, this was a choice that I would make that would support that. Because sometimes, hello, Tanya. Hi, Lynn. Um, I wasn't really taking myself seriously before. I was saying it, but I wasn't actively choosing it. And I recognized that. It was kind of like, oh, yeah, I want to do this, but I wasn't really choosing it. I wasn't actually taking action on things that would support me in that coming to fruition. So this boom came along, Stephanie, and I started November 2022 with weekly private sessions. And then I started adding in group and like more things as it went along. And just the change in my body, the strength that I feel in the saddle and everywhere, actually. I do everything differently now. From just even walking. Like I feel like I walk differently. Like I just use different muscles. And working with Stephanie, she can really visualize or see where my body is compensating, where I'm crooked. And then we focus on that area. And I could see now why I would hurt before. Like I would have these things come up with my lower back or my wrist or my shoulder. And I can see now why. And it's because I was crooked and I was doing things crookedly. So then naturally, other parts of your body start compensating and then you get crooked and things go out. And in the last year, that has not happened. There's been different things, but I know it's my body going through like a healing crisis. And then as I get stronger and straighter, the movement, the ease that I have with doing everyday things is greater. So I wanted to tell you all about Stephanie because she's been such a huge part of this for me. And even the boys are now coming to Stephanie, like Travis and Trace, my husband and son. So they actually, hello, Linda. They did a beginner's class with Steph in January. And very same with Travis. He would experience so much pain during harvest time, seeding time, busy times of year that he often like would show up in his shoulder and his arm was like paralyzed with pain. Like he couldn't, there were a few days where he needed somebody to ride with him in the semi to help him because he literally could not use his right arm because it was so painful. And he's like, this has got to change. Like, he's like, I'm 43. How am I going to be farming for another 17 years? And he loves it. Right. So I'm like, well, maybe we should try Pilates. So he kind of got to this place where he was really willing to try anything. And he can already tell a difference. You know, he's having his first private session with Stephanie today, actually. Um, and so anyway, I want people to know that if this is calling to you, you don't have to live maybe with the pain that you think you have to have or that it can't change because what if it can? And so Stephanie is here and she's going to start telling you about Pilates. And if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll be able to see that. So take it away, Steph.
Cool. That's so good to hear, Catherine, all of those things. It always makes me so happy when I hear the changes and you can see them. I mean, when I last saw you on Wednesday, it was just incredible seeing the difference in your movement. It's an essence that you see that's different, and I can really see that in your body. So yeah, so Pilates, firstly, the number one thing in Pilates is we get you to move your body. And most of us today we're just not moving enough. We live in these bodies that are really essentially cavemen. We've got this high intelligence, but we're designed to move. We're designed to eat simply. We're designed to be. I heard something the other day and it really made me smile. You're not an indoor plant, you're an outdoor animal. And I was like, oh,
I
that's
love that.
so true. So we're designed to be with nature and natural things. And yes, our intelligence has brought all sorts of wonderful things to us too that we don't want to be without, but we need to be discerning enough to realize that movement and eating well and all these things are needed for us to be our best selves. So the number one thing with Pilates is move your body. And Joe Pilates, when how I learned about him anyway, was that he was obsessed with health. It wasn't necessarily about what you looked like and your muscles and whatnot. He was obsessed with something called the internal cleanse. So all of the exercises we do, everything we do when we're working with people is to actually work you from the inside out. And that internal cleanse has a bigger effect than just strengthening your core muscles. It's to help you breathe better. It's to help your body detoxify more efficiently. And it has a whole knock-on effect. Yes, so that's essentially what it's all about. And a lot of people, it always makes me smile especially when they first get back or get into Pilates, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is quite a workout. I had no idea I was going to sweat like this." They kind of think it's this. And sometimes it is like this, right? It's not always a sweaty workout, but it's designed to get your circulation flowing, to get oxygenation to your cells. And you do that when you move, and you move dynamically. It's not a kind of a static stance that you hold. You go and you go and you go and you go. Anyway, with all of this, Joe designed equipment, which we call the apparatus. And I'm a classical Pilates instructor. And what that means is we follow a system. And the system involves everything. It's not just mat work. We use pieces of equipment called the reformer, the Wonder chair, the electric chair, the Cadillac. a whole bunch, an array of things. And the purpose behind it is it supports you. So if you, for example, are struggling, you're quite tight. We know that the springs on the Cadillac are really great to help elongate those muscles. If you, for example, are the opposite, if you are maybe someone who's very hypermobile, you have a lot of elasticity in your joints, we would put you on the electric chair. That sounds terrifying. But it's also called the high chair. And basically, that's all about keeping your body in a fixed position and really strengthening the muscles around the joints before you don't need more stretching when you're someone who's hypermobile. So there's all these pieces. And the idea is we're working you towards the advanced work. And, I say advanced, every person's different. An advanced exercise for one person could be really easy for another person, and
Yeah.
vice versa. A basic exercise for someone could be really challenging. So I say advanced with a very, it's a loose term. He has an advanced repertoire. And based on that, the idea is that once you get to the point that you can do this reformer and mat repertoire, you're considered to have control of your body and mind. And it's the ultimate strength, stretch, and control. And I think the other thing about Pilates is it really challenges you. It challenges you mentally as well as physically. And what you notice tends to happen is by practicing Pilates, you take that, I don't know what the word is, you take that discipline or that acceptance of self and acceptance of the fact that patience with your body, patience with yourself, and you take it into everything that you do. So it really teaches you, because there are times where it's very frustrating, where you're like, this darn exercise, I just.
Not only does it make your body greater, it makes you mentally stronger as well. And having Stephanie, I've tried to do things on my own with my body, and it was really hard when it was just myself. And I was following like a written protocol or even just doing like a video, let's say. Having Stephanie there, like, she holds a space for you to be able to push mentally beyond what you think you can do with your body. And she'll be like, okay, one more. And I'm like, if I was by myself, I wouldn't be doing that one more. But when Stephanie says one more, and I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, you're getting like stronger in your mind with what you can do and be with your body. Yeah. So that is huge too, Steph.
Yes, yes, no, it really is. And I think also there's even self practice. So people do recordings sometimes. And even sometimes, if you just remember the exercises and you get down and you do it, and there's an autonomous aspect to this that builds confidence in yourself too.
Yes.
That, yes,
Yes.
private sessions are great. And that's what we're supposed to do, encourage you. You are capable of more than you realize. And the only way to get to next points, next levels in anything is to push beyond what you did before. Obviously, safe, you make sure everything's safe and that your body has the capacity to do that. But and that Joe Pilates people used to come into his studio and practice themselves. So there's an aspect of this that is, you've got all kind of 3 points. You've got private sessions, you've got groups, and then there's an aspect of you getting down, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how long for, and
No.
just being with your body and being like, okay, this is what I've learned. I'm going to do this. And then you are ultimately your best teacher, because I can't feel what you're feeling. No one can. Only you know that. And going through it and listening and building that connection. And one thing I do find that happens is you develop such body awareness that it's
Yes.
um, it's both a blessing and a curse, because I
It's all a blessing, Stephanie. But
yes,
it's uncomfortable sometimes.
yeah, it is, because you feel things way before it's a thing.
Yeah.
So will often end up at the doctor with something, then they're like, oh my God, but it's like this mild. And I'm like, but I feel like it's like this because you're just so
More
connected,
aware. Yeah.
so aware. And the blessing behind it is you will catch things way before they become a big deal because you are so connected to yourself and to what's normal for you and what is not.
Yes. And the other thing Stephanie does is she will ask you, where do you feel this? Hey, Lynn. Okay, we'll get there. She'll ask you, where do you feel this? And then that actually makes me like pause and like kind of for a second, I'll like be in my body more. That's the strengthening the awareness part. I'm like, oh, here. But I would have never considered that before. So even just that question when she asks that builds body awareness. So Lynn is wondering, how does fibromyalgia and osteoarthritis factor in this program? So can you speak to that for a few minutes, Steph?
Yes, yes. Pilates is great for autoimmune conditions. And this is because it's such an adaptable practice. So, for example, I did have, when I was teaching in South Africa and in Botswana, two clients with one with rheumatoid and one with fibromyalgia. And the biggest thing in this case is not to overstress the body. So, because already when you have an autoimmune condition, you're already in fight or flight. You're you don't want to increase that. You want to calm the system down. And Pilates can be a very gentle practice too. It's not about the practice being sweaty and blah blah blah. It's about the individual. What does this body need? And if you're coming in with a condition like fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, I cannot say that word correctly. My husband speak. Anyway, it's about calming, and it's about, we can still help you to move your joints, which is really important. We can still help you build strength. We can still help you get that oxygenation and get that blood flow, but you do it in a way that doesn't increase your body temperature and that doesn't stress your immune system, doesn't get your body into beyond that fight or flight, because it's already there. It's already there. So it's an adaptable practice that is very, very, very effective for people with autoimmunes. I myself have, it's not an autoimmune, but endometriosis. And it's an inflammatory condition. And I noticed when I go through flare-ups, the only thing I can do is Pilates. I can't train at the gym. I can't run. All of those other things just, they heat up my body too much and they stress it out too much. And I notice I break out, I feel worse. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question then.
Cool. Yeah. So actually, you guys that are listening now and in the future, I think Steph is going to come back on next week on Friday, and we're going to do like a part 2. So if you guys have specific questions or anything that you want us to talk about even more, send me a message. You can message Catherine Ostrowski Facebook page, or if you know me, you can text me or message me on Facebook. And we're going to continue the conversation. I feel like there's more there that we can open up for, just, yeah. But I do want to say, so I'm going to include Stephanie's contact information. Once this replay is up in the top description, I'm going to include her phone number, if you're okay with that, Stephanie. And also where you can message her on Facebook if you're not like local, because she does online. So you can literally live anywhere in the world. And you can set up some online training with her. And yeah, and then she also does in person. So if you're local to Lloyd, I know her in person is getting pretty full, but for some reason, if it's required, the space will open up. That will often happen for me with Stephanie. I'll be like, hey, Steph, something came up. Can we move it? And she's like, well, not at the moment, but let's wait and see. And then literally the next day, she's like, oh, here we have a spot, Catherine. And another thing that really for me when I started was money. I'm just going to throw this in there because it is like money is a facilitator in its own way. And, I wasn't planning on spending this money on myself every month for these sessions. It wasn't never in my budget. All of a sudden it just came about. And I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't really have the extra income. But what I did was I I know there's magic with money, and a lot of you guys hear me talk about money magic. And I actually have a money magic email series where you can get more of this money magic for yourself. But anyway, what I did was I'm like, okay, hey, body, I had a conversation with my body. If this is something that is really going to create greater for us, and this is something that you would like, because I'm acknowledging, there's my body and then there's my being, what can you contribute to the cash showing up every single month for us to do this? And I can't tell you how it shows up every month because I do lots of different things that bring money in. But every time Steph sends me the monthly invoice, I'm like, oh, well, there's the money. Okay, we can pay this month. And so asking your body to contribute to the money required to make the choices that you'd like to make. Or I could have said, no, it's not for me. But I knew that that wasn't true. So there's money magic. Ask your body to contribute. Any last words, Steph?
I just think that's amazing. I think that's so inspiring. I think I've got to start doing that myself too. That's just so cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
So if anyone has questions, just we can maybe answer questions and chat.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, see you later. Have an amazing rest of your day, and bye-bye for now.
Bye bye.